We'd just like to find out if teachers from this conversation should also take the blame here, considering that if they are underpaid, according to payslip, they're expected to make that indication. If they're overpaid, similar indication is supposed to be made. So it seems like a lot of the blame goes on to those responsible from the payroll. But where do the teachers also come in now? Should they also take part of the blame here for just receiving that and keep that information to themselves?
Yes, just like we did mention on the issue of the debt swap, those who misled the government should have paid for misleading government equally. The human resource department should bear the blame because their ineffectiveness has costed the government all this money. Our members, despite having an obligation to report, I'm sure the system is able to tell when somebody has moved from one station to another because there's procedure for a transfer. And if there's procedure for a transfer, how can surely a human resource and end user fail to detect that this person can no longer get rural hardship allowance? How can an end user who's human resource fail to detect that this person can no longer get responsibility allowance? Because there's procedure. If I were the government as of now, the employer itself, I would definitely punish the end users. They would pay for their ineffectiveness instead of actually lumping the blame totally to the teachers themselves. After the release of that circular of recoveries, I can assure you there is a lot of concern now on the ground, and the unions we have no choice but to engage the employer. But the ineffectiveness of the human resource should be checked.
Okay.
Should be highly checked.
Now, Mr. Musenga, these erroneous payments did go on for a little over 4 years. Do you think that because of this era, civil servants, may end up being mocked or ridiculed by the public?
Definitely. Already, we heard about social media mocking the civil servants. Now, when the debt swap was cancelled, we've heard the social media again mocking the civil servants. Now we have this situation. We are not sleeping as union leaders. We will sure engage government, the employer itself, and see how best this can be done. Of course, there's a directive that if you receive money erroneously, you need to report. On the payslip, it's written down there. But still, the human resource should be checked. We want to encourage the human resource colleagues to be extremely very effective in terms of stopping any erroneous, because the system is able to pick. And now, the civil servants are now on the limelight again. Anything which will come up, there'll be cartoons, there'll be this mocking and so forth. And this is affecting the service delivery of our members, including the other civil servants who are affected by this. So really, we need to correct the picture and see to it that the human resource colleagues, they do the right thing at the right time. I know there could have been a lot of lacunas in the manner the system was being run in the PF government. The New Dawn government has come in and said, okay, this thing is wrong. Can we do it correctly? This other thing is wrong. Now, even when the situation is wrong, I think the recoveries will be a serious problems to our members countrywide. And we are going to see a situation where we need to work very hard to see to it that we boost their morale of working. But otherwise, the colleagues in the management, human resource management, lagged behind ensuring that everything is okay way back, because it was normal previously. Such errors were very normal. Now, that such errors are seen to be not normal now, but they are affecting the service delivery.
Let's conclude with the issue on teacher recruitment. There's been a lot of talk around that and the progress, or for others, lack thereof. As the Professional Teachers Union of Zambia, following the ministerial statement by the Minister of Education himself, Douglas Siakalima, what do you make of how things are going? Because a time frame still has not been given, and the words used by the minister are soon. How do you feel about that?
In the first place, the applicants countrywide are anxious to be selected. What we know in the 116 districts, the selection was very competitive, and it was attended by all stakeholders. What is now being raised is the delay. Of course, now there's consolidation at national level, but our view still remains that it can at least be released immediately, and then the issue of administration will be dealt later. The more we delay, the more insinuations and perceptions crop in, which is increasing anxiety on the streets. The 100,000+ teachers are jostling for 30,000 space in the public service. So what we want to advise the Teaching Service Commission, which was a little bit almost being disrupted politically by colleagues who felt their constituencies were not catered for. I think we want to look at this openly and see to it that the list is released before another bomb explodes by 7, 5, 6 MPs who come up and say, no, my member, I don't know how they even know that they are members. Their people are not selected at this stage, because we are now at consolidation stage. And a lot of care was taken into consideration when selecting these teachers. And no one at the moment would definitely pick a gun and point at the head of the Teaching Service Commission that there were a lot of discrepancies. So far, so good. But can we release the list of the 30,000 teachers to avoid other concerns which are being raised, even by people who are not fit to raise such issues? I think we have to commend the Teaching Service Commission as at now and the Ministry of Education in the 116 districts for the job they have done. But for the release of the list, please, quickly we do this. I don't think consolidation should take 1 month. Mind you, the more we delay the consolidation and the release of this list, the more we are actually dampening the morale of these schools, because we know how many teachers should be in those schools countrywide. We know if Lusaka has about 26 or 56 somewhere there, we know that these teachers should get into these schools. We know what Mumbwa has. We know what Kasama has. So the pupil-teacher ratio is being affected as long as we are going to delay to release and send these teachers to go and teach in these areas. And we are on record that we are encouraging the teachers even to go into these rural areas. Despite the accommodation program, we urge the government also to look into it, government as stakeholders, over the accommodation issue, which has brought issues of unnecessary transfers from the rural areas to the peri-urban or urban areas. I think that's a position we need to look at at the moment.